Thanks a lot for having me, guys. I mean, being the last to talk means I give the last impressions as well, so it's kind of like a lot of pressure. I love the speed pitches. I love them. It's amazing. Short, sweet, millennial, awesome, to the point. I designed this talk kind of around like what I would always want to get out of talks, you know, in past experiences in other conferences that I've been to. So I split it into 3 parts. The first thing that I'm going to talk to you about is my journey, right? Because it's relevant to put everything in context. I had a lot of twists and turns in my career as a designer, and they're really important for me being where I am today. The second bit is a clear articulation of the problem, and hopefully a clear articulation of a solution in the IoT space. And this is it's a tricky one to solve, and I'm sure you guys know it. You keep hearing all these methodologies and all of these like potential values everywhere thrown around, but it's not really happening, and hopefully we go through a solution. And the third thing that I want to deliver to you is a cool tool with a cool name that you can take back to your employers or, I don't know, to the marketplace and kind of become more valuable. So let's go for it. Cool stuff. I started off as an industrial designer 5 years ago, and I had the opportunity to work in a company that did both software and hardware, right? And that was a big thing, because that exposed me to the first transformation of my career, where I realized we live in an experience economy. Software is eating the world. You remember all of those. It's quite late in the game, right? It was kind of 2013, let's say 2014. I started researching the area, started building some apps with some little companies. It worked great. And midway, I got picked up by Orange. I worked there for about 2.5 years with a lot of IoT projects. And today, I'm a senior designer at Samsung. We help build the experience for all the flagships that Samsung sells, like the Galaxies, the tablets, the appliances, the TVs, everything. Right? London is quite high up there. But my biggest shift in thinking happened in 2015, when Orange called, they interviewed me for this super secret project, and I got on board, and it was what today is called Data Venue. It's mainly B2B today, but our challenge back then was to kind of deliver value for the user, right? Get into the home, get into his pocket, go very personal, right? And it's funny because as we approached the problem, we started hitting it with a lot of methodologies like UCI, Lean, Kanban, all of these crazy, we were agile, right? We thought it's a mathematical game. You throw the methodologies, you get something out, you sell it, and that's it. But midway in the process, so about here, when things need to happen, we were more confused basically than when we started. We had no idea where the business capabilities kind of laid in, and also what is it in for the user? What is the value back there, right? And it clearly didn't work. We were in a paralysis by analysis situation, and the big challenge in IoT is not designing a killer app. That's not the target. It's designing the app killer to eliminate apps altogether, right? And we were not there. We were like throwing apps. We were aggregating apps and so on. So, it was clear that looking back, when we tried to kind of map out the journey of an IoT user, we were not dealing with a usual case, right? This is not normal. Like usually a journey map is like, it's very clear, it's focused, right? You have clear objectives. Let's take Deliveroo, for example, right? It's focused. I'm hungry, feed me, right? It's sequential. I take out my phone, I open the app, I order it, it comes to my door. It's limited in time and space. It's in London, it's in my neighborhood, and it's relatively predictable, right? I know I'm going to be hungry 3 times a day. That's as much as you need. You identify the pain points, you kind of prioritize them, you solve them. Wow, UX designers, right? This is how an IoT service map looks like for telcos. It's a mess, right? You have a complicated intertwining mesh of objects that you cannot really identify. They don't talk to each other. They're unfocused. They're extremely varied. They're not limited in time and space. They're unpredictable in usage, and they change continuously. I'm sure there are kids being born today with a set of products that change continuously over their lifetime. They're going to die with a totally different set of products altogether. So really messy, right? Data is valuable in this space. Okay, you can sell it, but it's not a killer. It's not a killer. So I mean, I was looking on this mess, and I was thinking, you know, I was looking over the numbers, all of these forecasts, trillion here, trillion there. By the way, some of these are like, they were supposed to be happening already. And, you know, I had a Travolta moment right there. I mean, I was like, where are these coming from? How do these people know how much something is worth without actually understanding how things go? What is the value in this? Where does it come from, right? So it was clear for me that, you know, I needed another transformation. I went on a journey, right? I looked over like the most popular brands, trying to find kind of a common denominator. What are they doing right that we're doing wrong? What's with this, right? I mean, I needed to make sense of it. By the way, it's funny that 64% of them kind of are in the internet and communication space, and that's kind of obvious looking backward. I mean, to me it was kind of like really automotive, like financial services. These guys are with strippers, right? I mean, why are they here and not there? And it was, you know, it was not making sense. The truth is that most of the brands that truly make it, they engage the user at multiple levels, and they do that by sitting kind of in between two economic models. The first one we defined in the Industrial Revolution, right? And it's kind of what we were trained as designers to do, iterate a lot. I mean, we thought so much about iteration. I was like, oh, I'm going to get in stage. I'm going to prove that iteration is important. It's crucial, right? We cannot do anything good without it. But IoT doesn't need iteration, because we cannot iterate something that does not yet exist. We're like relying on habits, on a lot of instincts that we've built over time. I mean, think Nokia. Like Nokia iterated themselves to death, right? At the time of bankruptcy, I think they had about 13,000 models of phones, sorry. And they forgot what their core mission was, which was connecting people, not making 13,000 models of phones. That's completely insane, right? That is the old model, right? The new one replaces a few ingredients. Obviously, I have to shorten it. It's much more complex than this. But meaning shows up. And meaning, internet, for example, is a behavior space. It does not transport anything, doesn't give you anything. It's just a space where I manifest. The more Google, for example, gives me space to manifest, the more valuable it is. The more Apple gives me space to manifest, the more everybody mocks emojis. Like the emojis, whatever they're called. That is insane. Whoever does that does not understand the new economy. It's full stop. There's nothing to talk about. That is a behavior tool, and we value that just because we can. It's not a negotiable, right? So meaning, if an object transforms according to context, that is a new economic model right there, and it enhances and it explores a platform. What do I mean by that? So let's take one example. If you take fire, right, the first technology that we ever had, this is what transformed everything, right? It transformed us and so on. If you take it in different contexts and you unlock latent behavior, I think I heard somebody with latent behavior in the panel here. It was brilliant. I don't know. Ethnography, something like that. I don't know if they're still here. Anyway, the idea is that if you study humans and you give them tools and you unlock latent behavior, stuff that is already happening, but it needs to be pushed to another level, you generate pre-competitive advantage. And that's what the most popular brands out there do. They unlock latent behavior and pre-competitive advantage. The margins are very small when you're dealing with iterations, very small. And you end up in a hole where you compete on margins, you exploit cheap labor. That's the only way you can stay competitive. In this space, you develop platforms. Fire, for example, let's get back to this guy. We were trained as designers to iterate on it, right? Make it shine brighter, hotter. Put it in a stove, make the stove beautiful, invent design awards. Let's give some awards to these stoves so we can sell them better, right? Incremental improvements. Transformation, though, is making it mobile, putting it on a candle. Let's say candles don't exist, right? I make fire mobile. I unlock behavior all over the place. I can transform a candle into a religious piece, right? It can be prayer in one context. It can be light in another, right? It can be a romantic atmosphere creator in another. And it could also be, I don't know, a scent generator. Once I define my mission as the romantic space creator, with the help of fire initially, I change everything, right? I'm a platform. Nobody competes with me. I'm ahead of everybody else, and they just have to copy, right? Think about the combustion engine. It is fire in another context. And it unleashes a completely new set of products that transforms us as well. So to demonstrate this theory of mine, I was like going into a lot of like, I was hyped, man. I thought I discovered something. Actually, you know, it's quite well documented. I thought I had something new, but actually it is happening. We need to transform from UX to transformation economy. And I picked the worst product that I could find out there. Like, let's see if this holds up with the iKettle, the connected kettle. I mean, I hated that, right? That thing. But if it holds up with this, it surely must work with something valuable. So these guys thought it, you know, putting an app inside a kettle, basically incrementally improving it, would solve the problem. It failed miserably. And I thought, okay, how could we unlock new behaviors around this? Like, what changes for a kettle? Because a kettle is static in a kitchen, right? I mean, you don't carry it around. It's easy for a phone that travels everywhere to start inventing use cases. You know, it's mobility. But a kettle stays there. Like, what changes for a kettle? And we change. I mean, we expect different things from it. Sometimes I come home and I expect it to, I don't know, make me feel like I'm home. Sometimes I'm sick. I use it because I need to get warm. It's very functional, right? Sometimes I have a ritual around it. I have my friends and we drink tea, and sometimes I use the tea to remind myself about different places and experiences that I've had. That is latent behavior waiting to be unlocked by iKettle. So how might we transform this connected experience so it makes sense for them as well? How to extract the business capability? Let's say that, I don't know, we enable it as an extension of our senses. Just before my wife comes home, I could have the kettle warm up, I don't know, the water. 5 minutes before she gets through the door, I have everything ready for a tea, right? That means that now I have a personal connection with this thing. I know where my other half is without me checking. It's something different. It's on another level. It's a human archetype. And the reason why we have phones and we use them, it's not because they have technology packed in. We use it to enhance our archetypes, our classic needs that never change. They just get enhanced and unlocked through different mediums. So the trick is here to sort of use the lens that your organization has to filter out things. It's a mess out there. It's infinite opportunity, right? But there must be a way to measure meaning, behavior, and value in this new space. There must be one. Otherwise, we're just dealing with the same paradox, paralysis through analysis. And this guy, McLuhan, he's kind of like a legend in the marketing and advertising space. He predicted the web 30 years before it happened. Really powerful stuff. And he defined this tetrad of media effects. He sort of believed that anything we produce is media, anything. Like we clean our teeth because we want to show something to the world, that we're civilized, we're clean, we're healthy. Everything that we do is media, and it eventually influences us, right, at the end. And he was passing every piece of technology through this tetrad, which I'm going to explain in a sec, because it's kind of like, it's from the 80s, right? It's not. Anyway. He used to pass every piece of technology through this tool to see the disruptive potential, to understand where the opportunities lay, and unlock a lot of behavior. So let's take something simple, right? Let's take a phone. Like, what does it enhance? Like, what does it differ? I mean, with what does it improve the world? And the simple answer would be, oh yeah, whatever. It enhances our voice, right? We can reach people easier. I can take it with me, so I can reach people anywhere from any position I am, right? What does it obsolesce? And this is the first thing, like let's say GSM phones, right? The basic ones. It obsolesces landlines, right? I can move it around. I now have it everywhere with me. It's amazing. However, the interesting part is that your competition you can try this at home, and you'll see that if you discover the obsolete part and what does it reverse into, you will discover your weak points in any organization. For example, if I push the mobile phone to its extreme, it becomes shackles. It becomes a prison because I can be reached anywhere. And it's a problem because here in this space, this is where your competition operates. the phone that disconnects you, the dumb phone. All of these crazy products come because the phone that we have currently, the smartphone, has been pushed too much. And it's a prison. And what does it retrieve? The fundamental archetype, the desire to be heard, all right? Oh, sorry. Cool stuff. Now let's see why the smartwatch didn't work. Because that, I mean, in my opinion, it still is a total failure, right? It always tried to enhance the phone, the notification center, and it's not what probably was planned out to be, right? It was supposed to enhance your body. That would have changed everything here, but it enhances only your phone. It obsolesces, well, I don't know. I think it's the larger screen devices, right? There's not much there. That's why it's not powerful. It doesn't unlock anything in us. It doesn't vibrate with us, right? What does it reverse when pushed? You are basically a slave to notifications. You have just added another layer of distractions into your life. And that's not what probably people want. I mean, they want to be in sync with stuff. They certainly have FOMO, but not to that level, right? And it retrieves something interesting. I think it syncs us a lot with time again. And the new time, the new thing we have to sync with is the internet. Because any revolution, the Industrial Revolution happened only because we had time. It's a social construct. Internet is a social construct as well, and it syncs us with it as well. It prepares us for the next revolution, but it does not change, it does not unlock new behavior. It's still static, it's still the same. I had it on my phone. So, in short, I mean, what I'm trying to get to, before I say a thank you, is I believe that we are at the border of inventing a new profession in this UX space, right? I believe that we need to become something else. We need to shift. As somebody in the panel was saying, I mean, the low-hanging fruits have been picked. Most websites today operate normally. It's okay. They're beautiful. They're fine. And it's going to get more so with patterns and AI. I've seen something from Airbnb already designing everything from sketches. We need to become strategists. We need to unlock human potential from technology. We need to make technology subservient to us, not throw things around, see what sticks, and make a business case out of it. So that is it. I would totally welcome questions. I know, I mean, I left a little bit of time at the end because I know this stuff is kind of like controversial, and people are like, no, it's not true. I'm going to show you that iteration is how. Please ask as many questions as you want. We'll try to debunk everything. I'm quite interested in that. So there you go.